Every producer wants to know, how do you work with the artists directly? How do you skip the middleman and get straight to the source? Today I've got someone who has done exactly that. Working with NBA Youngboy, Quando Rondo, Sway Lee, Future, Rod Wave, just to name a few. And today in this video, he's gonna be breaking down exactly how he's made that happen. How to survive in this competitive space, what actually separates producers who make it versus the ones who don't, the correct way to network with these rappers, how to send them beats properly. If you are serious about leveling up, you want to watch all the way through because this could be an absolute game changer for you. So let's get right into it. Cam, welcome to the call, bro. Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself to people who aren't familiar with you?
My name's Cam. I'm a producer from Maryland. Got work with 21 Savage, Future, Young Thug, Gunna, Rod Wave, a lot more.
Awesome. All right, well, let's get right into it. So the first question I've got is, what's one mistake you see producers making when they're trying to network with artists?
Probably the biggest problem that I see producers making is that they contact people without any thought of how they can provide value to the person that they're hoping to receive from. So people don't want to just feel like means to an end, right? Networking isn't just about DMing people, it's about building meaningful relationships with people. If you have no value to provide, a lot of people are going to have no value to give to you, because why would they go out of their way just to help you? And a lot of the time when I tell people this, first thing that goes to their mind is that they have to pay for it. And they're like, man, I don't want to pay for a connection, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be that. It could be a skill set that you have. It could be information about something you're knowledgeable in, or it could be just a percentage of the publishing for placing anything. But when you go to approach people, you need to know in your mind what you have of value for, again, the person that you're hoping to receive from. And you'll go a lot further in this industry if you change your mindset to how can I help people instead of how can I receive from people. And especially if you're hoping to receive from people, it's going to end up working for you in the long run.
100%. And I really like what you said about the whole skill thing. People talk about like the importance of skill stack. If you're skilled in multiple areas, let's say you're skilled in sales, marketing, you understand how to set up like a BeatStars automation, all of a sudden you become a lot more valuable to the majority of producers. For example, I see a lot of industry producers, they're tapped in with the biggest artists and they still post their stuff on BeatStars, but you know for a fact they're not running the email flows. They don't know how to do the marketing. So that's a way that you can come in and provide value. You can be like, look, bro, I'll take care of this for you. In exchange, it would be cool if I could send you some loops, for example. And that's going to be such a better connection than just being like, yo, let's work in DMs. Yeah, it's a really good point that you said.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I mean, again, I think that's something that a lot of people really look over, because even if they do have the skill sets, a lot of the people, when they're going to hit other people up, they're just so focused on what can I get out of this. But again, once I shifted my mindset to, trying to help people, I saw so many new opportunities coming in and just building better relationships with people. In the end, in this industry, relationships are everything, and just who you know and everything like that. So things will just naturally come to you if you're always helping people.
100%. Really quick, what's an example of something that you helped someone with that wasn't entirely music related? Do you have one that comes to mind?
Yeah, so there was one time that I was networking for a bigger artist, and I ended up getting in contact with a smaller artist through that. And at the time, they were looking for somebody to do cover art for their album. And I have worked a little bit in Photoshop over the past, years, and I am not the best at it. But I was like, hey, I'll give it a shot and I'll make you cover art for your album. If you don't fuck with it, you ain't got to pay for it. It's completely fine. But that was one step that I took to go out of my way to help this guy that further made him, more inclined to want to help me get my beats through to the artist I was trying to.
I love that. And the thing is, that also emphasizes the importance of network, because you might just know a guy that makes cover art. So you're just like the middleman and you say, look, bro, I'll get the cover art sorted for you. And you don't really do shit. You just get your friend to do it. And then you're providing value. That just emphasizes the network point even more.
That's a good ass point. And to be honest, I didn't even think of it that way. 100%. If you know people that can solve a problem for somebody else, why would you not connect them? Maybe by sharing your opportunities with other people or giving away your connections, that you would be taking more food off of your plate. But in the end, if those two people that you connected end up building a relationship or doing business together or whatever it is, they're always going to remember that you are the person that connected them. And I can't speak for everybody, but if I were one of those two people, I would feel like I owed that middleman like forever.
All right, so next question. A lot of producers, they send beats and they never hear back. So what do you do differently to increase your chances of getting placements?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I just send whatever I think is hard. And I think this is a very important concept that's kind of been lost in the idea of like chasing placements. But I realized over time that prioritizing making good music is gonna overrule like chasing a specific sound. So I've built much stronger relationships with the artists that I worked with by ignoring like the tight beats that they would normally get on and just sending whatever I think is hard. So for example, Sway Lee is an artist. I had his number for a long time and I was sending beats to him for probably over a year and it was crickets, bro. I didn't hear shit back from him ever. It was nothing. And okay, one day I was like, okay, I have this connection to him. I'm getting beat straight to his phone and nothing's coming out of it. So I was like, obviously I'm doing something wrong. I have to switch something up. At that point, every time I went to send him a pack, I was just trying to send him shit like his biggest songs that he already had out. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna switch that up. And I had this pack of beats that was like so hard, bro. It was hits. And I was like, okay, like this is just good music. So I'm gonna send it through and just see what happens. It can't hurt, right? And started doing that with all the artists that I was sending to. And not only did I get my first responses back from Sway Lee, but other artists that I had never heard shit back from before. And even artists that did hit me back in the past, they started hitting me back more. I was like, it completely shifted my perspective on how I send beats out, and seeing how receptive the artists were to just good music really just made me change the way that I approach everything. So when I go to send beats out now, I really just send good music. And the other thing about placing beats too is that you need to stay consistent with it, because artists might be in a session, they're going through their phone, playing the beats, and they might hear something that they're fucking with, but they move on and maybe they want to go back to it in the future. But if you're not always in their phone, they're just gonna forget about you. They're just gonna move on to the next pack, open the next producer that sent them beats. So instead of trying to send out like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll send these beats out to these artists and just hope that something works out. Bro, I'm always sending shit. I'm always gonna be the name that's at the top of their phone, top of their email. So whenever they do need beats, they'll open it back up. And if there was an old beat that they were fucking with, they'll be like, oh yeah, like I forgot about that shit. Like I need to go back to it. So even if it's not any new beats that you're placing through, being consistent with it, it could be old shit that comes up. And that's happened to me with several artists in the past where, I'm sending packs out and then they end up going back and picking old beats I already sent them.
Yeah, 100%. I was just gonna say, like, I was talking to Rilo's producer and he said the exact same thing. He was like, I want to always be at the top of his phone. And he was talking to his friend who had Nardo Wick's number, and it was kind of a funny story because the guy was sending Nardo Wick beats a lot and then he just stopped. And my friend was like, why'd you stop? And he's like, bro, he just stopped hitting me back. He stopped responding. And we were like, that is the #1 mistake. Like, that's a terrible mistake to make. All right, so next one, how do you manage sending beats to multiple artists without burning bridges?
So this can definitely be a tricky one, sending beats out to multiple artists, and these two artists both want to drop a song and purchase it exclusive to it. Obviously they both can't do that. So the other thing too is that you want to maximize the reach of your music, right? What do you do about it? To be completely honest with you, I pretty much send the same beats to all the artists I'm working with. But if there is, like a big artist that hops on a beat, or it's an artist that I have a close relationship with and they ask me to hold on to it, I'll do that. We'll refrain from sending the beat out, in my future packs. But the highest chance is that shit's never even gonna drop. And if it doesn't drop, you're not making money off of it. So if several months go by and nobody's contacted me about trying to purchase the exclusive, I'll just start sending it out again. Because, I'm not going to wait for maybe this artist to take this beat off my hands when I could be leasing that same beat to 20 other artists, or just finding another artist that will make a hit on it and purchase an exclusive.
I think you answered that really well. It's hard enough to get a placement as it is. The chances of you getting a placement on the same beat with multiple artists, like, it's pretty low. I think like it's a great problem to have if anyone watching this has that problem, but like chances are you probably don't have that problem. Next one, if you could go back to your first year in the industry, what's one business move you would do differently?
So if I could have done things differently, I definitely, first of all, would have stayed more consistent with my content and made everything that I had to offer completely free, like 100%. 100% free, not royalty free, but I would have had my shit everywhere, anybody to grab hands on. Looking back, I realized that I might have been too focused on trying to make quick sales on my kits or making my samples feel more exclusive to elevate my brand. And my thinking at the time was that if my sounds were harder to get, it would make my image seem more valuable. And to some extent, that approach did work. But in the long run, I think that I would be much further ahead in my career if I had focused on exposure and accessibility rather than exclusivity and immediate access. So when you're first, trying to get the ball rolling in the industry, the most valuable currency is not money. It's exposure and it's relationships. So building a strong network and getting your work in front of the right people should be your priority, especially in an industry that's as competitive as this one, and especially today. I mean, the reality is that there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of producers out there, and a lot of them are fire, and a lot of them are offering high quality sounds and kits for free. So if you're holding back your best work at the start of your career, you're only stunning your growth and holding yourself back. I think if I had my sounds more widely available at the start, I would have increased my reach, built stronger relationships with artists and producers, and ultimately just position myself for bigger opportunities down the line later in the future. So think about it this way: the more people using your sounds, the more demand you create. From there, monetization becomes easier. And now I'm seeing that the real key to success in this industry, or even in general, playing the long game and building a brand, providing value, and letting money come to you instead of trying to chase money.
Bro, this is a really interesting point, actually. I haven't really talked to anyone about this, but I know it's a whole debate. It's like, do I go exclusive or do I make my shit readily available? So what I want to ask you is, you said earlier on in your career you want to make it more readily available. What about now, since you got the placements? Because I have this dilemma myself. I'm like, do I play the numbers game and just get it everywhere because that has brought me success? It's interesting. Like, what do you think now that you're further on in your career?
To be honest, bro, this is something I'm still trying to figure out too. Because I mean, obviously, if you have a bigger name for yourself and you have your stuff for free, then you'll be getting a lot more reach. But the other thing too is that I feel like I'm very well connected with a lot of the damn, I'm trying to think of the right way to word this, bro. This is a good ass question, bro, because I was kind of hoping you wouldn't ask this.
Let me tell you what I think, because I also have the same problem. And I feel like in the last few weeks, I feel like I want to pivot a bit more to exclusive because I've had my shit like readily available. But I think, bro, like if you look at it statistically, just playing the numbers game is gonna work better. Like the amount of times I've posted a fucking reel of just me playing a sample and then like heaps of people hit me up. And also the thing is, when you're playing the numbers game, you're investing in smaller, newer producers who will be on the Billboard albums in a few years. So that's also something good, because let's say you got person A who doesn't send it to a guy called John because John is a small producer, but then person B just sends it to everyone and John really appreciates him. If John takes off, he's gonna remember that. So that's kind of why I think, but it is really interesting. Like I know Covey, I'm pretty sure his shit's everywhere. Like it's all over Discord. And bro, look at, like he got 100 placements last year. That's like 6 figures just off advances.
Kavi is such a good example of somebody that has a strong brand and has placements. He's both in, he both has a strong brand and he is on, he's doing shit on the industry side too. And a lot of the stuff that's come, like on the industry side is actually from free content that he put out. And it has really been making me think about my approach recently, and I might be, I've really been contemplating just putting my shit out there everywhere because it can't hurt you. Honestly, I think it would benefit you more than, trying to stay exclusive with it, even at the point that I'm at in my career.
The benefits outweigh the negatives. Obviously, there are a few negatives. Like some big producers will be like, nah, I don't fuck with that because you send it to so many people. So it's a double-edged sword. But in regards to like the positive, I think the positives do outweigh the negatives. And the one thing that I would say is you can always pivot later. So let's say that you run in 1 year's time, you run to a point where just one of your samples getting placed way too many times and it's just getting out of control, like the whole fucking industry is using your samples. Then you can like make that decision when you come to it.
And the thing is that if you already had your shit that accessible and that available before and then you switch it up, I feel like people would be much more willing to buy into that if they were available before and now they're not, than if they've always just been exclusive because, kind of got a little hint of of what you have to provide, right?
100%. Such an interesting topic though. I'm actually glad we talked about that, because that's been on my mind for a while and I haven't talked to anyone about it.
I heard you bring it up, I think in one of your videos, and I was like, that's something we definitely got to talk about, because it's really interesting. A lot of people have own different opinions on it, and both sides work out for people in different ways, but I guess it's just about playing with it and seeing what works for you.
Bro, make the YouTube loop kits, get that shit fucking out there. Should Loki just start doing them again, bro?
Doing it for a little bit, and it was actually doing really good for me, and I just wanted to focus more on the industry, and I stopped putting my time into that. And honestly, it's literally one of my biggest regrets ever, is stopping doing that. And bro, I remember there was literally one loop that I made that got placed with like 5 major artists, bro. It was crazy. Like Lil Durk got on it, I think Lil TJ got on it, and like, bro, it was crazy. That shit was everywhere, but it was all from YouTube. Like, dang, yeah, there's so much power in it, for real.
All right, next one. What has been the biggest L you've taken in your producing career, or your hardest moment?
Yeah, so there was this one time that NBA YoungBoy dropped one of my songs on YouTube, and it was a very highly anticipated snippet. And when it finally dropped, I was like, yo, no fucking way. Like, I never thought this shit was gonna see the light of day. And he dropped it. I was super hyped. It was getting millions of views. He dropped it like in the middle of the afternoon. It was really weird. And I went to sleep, woke up. That shit was gone, bro. It was literally, it vanished. It was racking millions of views in hours. And I was like, bro, I'm about to bank on this. And it was gone by the next day. But I guess my biggest L wasn't necessarily that moment specifically, just in general, how there have been several situations where, you know, I've been on big albums and gotten my songs taken off last second, like literally days before the album dropped. And it was really eye-opening to me that, like, the unpredictability in this industry, but I kind of shifted that into motivation to stay more consistent with my music, because just as easily as I was the guy that got my song taken off last second, I could have been the other dude that replaced my song and got on the album last second. So you never know what's happening behind the scenes, and kind of building off of that idea, it's helped me to stay more consistent with my music. Because let's say I was sending to one artist, like, again, for example, in my situation, Sway Lee, just because I already brought him up in this video. If I was sending to him for that whole first year and I wasn't seeing anything from it, and I was like, fuck this shit, this is a waste of my time. And then let's say 2 years later down the road, I get contacted about this song dropping with Sway Lee on one of my beats. And I would be like, yo, like, I thought he wasn't doing anything on those. And throughout those 2 years of time that I wasn't sending anything to him, I could have been building that relationship with him. I could have been getting more songs, blah, 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 blah.
I guess it's like you want to control what you can. You said that one of the biggest L's is like getting taken off the album. Because you can't really control if you get taken off an album. But you can control like how many beats you're sending or how many DMs you're sending, for example.
Exactly. So control what you can, because you never know what you can't see, right? I'm bringing this up because there's just been so many different cases in my career, like big or small, where things have just been completely unpredictable, whether it was for the worse or whether it was for the better. Seeing how things can flip so fast, and seeing, you know, the result of work that I've done, you know, 4 years ago come up today, really shown me how anything could be happening, and you just have to stay consistent with it. Don't get demotivated when you don't see anything happening, because you're probably getting all the fucking placements and you would have no clue. That's another problem, that in a mistake that I see a lot of producers make, is that they stop when they don't see immediate results. You need to, you know, push through it, and when you do push through those moments where you're not seeing any results from it, is when you're gonna thrive in the future.
The next question: what separates the industry producers who last in the industry compared to the ones who fall off?
Honestly, there's so many reasons why that could be. And first thing is, I think a lot of producers fall off because they get too caught up in trying to chase placements and end up losing the love for making music. So I've seen plenty of people that, you know, have had their big break only to disappear after a few years later, because they stop focusing on what really matters, which is music itself. When you start prioritizing, you know, money, clout, or chasing trends over developing your craft, it's only a matter of time before that passion fades. And without passion, longevity in this industry is basically impossible. At the end of the day, good music will always find its way back into the right hands. And yeah, music isn't just about what's popular at the moment. So that's something really important to keep in mind. The other thing too is that producers don't collaborate enough. And And I think some people think, you know, they can do everything on their own and work solo, and somehow that makes them more respected. But in reality, being difficult to work with is a major like red flag, and nobody wants to collaborate with someone that refuses to build relationships. And if you're impossible to work with, they'll just move on and forget about you. Like I said before, opportunities in this industry come through connections, relationships, and teamwork, and not isolation. Another thing that I think is that people have no branding and a lack of personal connection with, you know, producers, A&Rs, managers, engineers, etc. And that can 100% kill your career. If taking forever to respond to messages, if you're, you know, barely showing any personality or failing to build a presence, people just aren't going to remember you. So the producers who last are the ones that aren't just making great music, but are also keeping themselves visible, approachable, and easy to work with. The last thing I think is that producers don't believe in themselves. What I mean by that is they can have, you know, the hardest fucking beats, they can have the hardest samples in the world, and they might think that just because their quality is really good, that they can just send them out a few times and get them placed. And when nobody's hopping on them, they might feel like they're not good enough or whatever it is. But the reality is that it's really hard to play shit in this industry, and you really have to apply yourself and do the shit that nobody wants to do to make yourself stand out, because you probably have more than enough talent. Right now, bro, I can name 20 people with such a small fraction of my following that are way better than me, but people just don't realize the work that it takes to stay afloat. So sometimes people can let their ego get in the way of their success and think that just because their music is good, someone has to use them, but that's not the reality. And you have to understand that, and again, do the shit people don't want to do and just put in the work.
Yeah, 100%. Like sometimes it's the ego that kills the people, but sometimes it's the complete reverse, like you were just saying. Like it's people who just don't believe in themselves. People who, like, it's funny, I have people inside my mentor program and they're like, I'm just not sure my stuff's good enough. And I'll listen, I'm like, bro, it's good enough. Like, what are you doing? Start sending it out. And sometimes like that's all they need to then start taking that attacking action. Just having someone say, bro, it's good enough. And yeah, it's just interesting because then it's like, if you don't have conviction in what you're sending out, you're not going to be posting those reels. You're not going to be posting the stories. You're not going to be messaging the people. You're not going to be getting on Discord calls because it's like, you don't believe in yourself. Like it all starts in actually believing that you're good. And I'm not saying this to be like delusional, but if you have like, yeah, there was a guy in my mentorship program, he literally has a song with Lil Wayne, bro. And he's like, oh, I just don't know if my stuff's good. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You like, this is enough social proof you need.
Well, just kind of putting yourself in the other producer's shoes in the sense that, you know, maybe sometimes all it takes is a little validation from somebody else to really have that confidence in yourself, because I've been in that situation where I was like, damn, like I really don't know if my shit's hard enough. And it can get overwhelming when you are that person because there's so much talent out there, right? So it's easy to compare yourself to others. Like I said, there's been a few times where I've had, you know, bigger producers hit me back and they're like, this shit's gas. And I'm like, really? I thought that was like kind of mid. And that's the push that I needed to really be like, okay, like I'm doing something right here. But to the people that don't have that person to tell you, I'm telling you, your shit is probably more than good enough to be getting placements, bro. Because in this industry, not even about the music really. It's, I keep saying this over and over again, but it's so fundamental and so crucial. Relationships, networking, everything like that. That's what's ultimately going to bring you the opportunities. So your music can be good, but you need to stay consistent, you know, on the business side to see the results that you want to see. And your music probably isn't even the problem.
100%. I was saying this yesterday. Every single day, 900,000 people get access to the internet for the first time. How many people of that 900,000 do you think is like some 16-year-old fucking guitarist from Germany? Like probably a few, right? More and more producers are coming into the game, and these guys probably more talented than you and me, but it doesn't matter if they don't have the right people to send it to, which just emphasizes that network point even more. Like there can be people who are great, but if they don't have the people to send it to, it literally doesn't matter. So it just goes to show like network is so important. Cam, you recently spoke to me about how you wanted to start making content. Tell the producers who might not understand its importance just why you wanted to take this step.
Having a presence in social media is so fucking powerful. And just like we were just saying, bro, we're in an industry where about half of all of the music that is ever released is only going to generate between 0 and 10 streams. So there is an abundance of music, and again, so much talent out there. You watching this video, you are probably better than, but if you can't show that to people, it means nothing. And sorry, not sorry if this hurts your ego, but the reality is that people don't give a fuck about you, and you need to give them a reason to. So putting out content is one way to do that. And especially if you have a unique skill set that could be beneficial to other people, like if you play a live instrument or something like that, that's a major way to draw people to you. Which leads me to my next point, which is that building a brand means that customers come to you instead of you going to them. To put this in perspective, you could go out and DM every single artist and producer that you could possibly find and try to network and build your brand that way and hope, try to find people that way. But the reality is that, it's so time consuming for such little return on it. And sure, you might make a quick sale from it or get a quick follow, but people will remember you more and have an attachment to your name if you do content rather than, just sending Instagram DMs. So if you have content out, you don't need to hit up every single consumer directly. You're putting the content out there in people's faces to discover you. So if you pair useful and actually good content with proper marketing and branding, you'll start to see your career taking a major leap forward. Another thing that's good about branding and content is that money comes through more consistently. So Wavy touches on this point a lot, and it's that the cash flow purely on the industry side is dog shit, bro. It's so bad. First of all, if you're independent, you can only collect 2 types of royalties, and you can only collect within the country that you're in. So you're already not even earning the maximum amount of your royalties that you could if you're independent. And even if you get a decent advance, most labels won't even pay it out until up to months later. I have a song out right now that's been out for 2 years and I still haven't got my advance, bro. It's bad. But if you're only on the industry side, you pretty much just get paid in lumps. And in between those checks, you are gonna feel like you're drowning because there's not much other income coming from your music. Where on the other hand, if you devote some of your time to building a strong brand and creating multiple income streams that bring in consistent cash flow rather than relying on just industry payments, you'll be a lot better off.
Yeah, 100%. They say we're in an attention economy, so it's like views, attention, a community that quite easily translates into money. It's interesting because I've spoken to some industry producers and they're like, I don't want to be known as like a YouTube producer or some shit. And it's kind of an interesting topic because I was like, bro, I wouldn't even, I was working with this guy and we were making money together. And I was like, bro, I wouldn't have even known you existed if you didn't post on YouTube in the first place, first of all. And second of all, you have this list of the craziest placement. Who the fuck is gonna call you an industry producer for making a few tutorial videos? You know what I mean? It's like, I guess it's like the fear of judgment, but yeah, it's a whole other source of income. You can sell whatever you want really through a personal brand. And like you said, yeah, people come to you first instead of you reaching out to them, and just puts things on autopilot. Like going back to Covey, I know he said a lot of his placements came from big producers hitting him up first. I honestly think like the best play is to get a good YouTube channel going. Like even me personally, I'm gonna go like a lot harder on the YouTube. I want to up the quality. Like I've just started hiring an editor so I can I don't have to spend as much time doing all the bullshit I don't want to do. And yeah, I think like even if I'm spending like $150 per video and I'm making like no money, I'm sure it's gonna pay dividends for me eventually. I recommend anyone watching this, just make it. More proof that posting content is good. How many times have you posted a beat or a sample on your story and people have replied and been like, send that to me?
But yeah, this is exactly what I was about to get into, and not even just from my Instagram posting beats and stories. First of all, anytime you post anything, no matter where I was in my career, whether I was first starting off or it's right now, I found that there's pretty much always going to be people that's going to be hitting you up trying to get it. If you put it readily available out there, put it in front of people's faces, they're going to want to work with you. One of the things that kind of motivated me to start doing my YouTube channel again, because like I said before, it's not all just through Instagram, is that even today, I haven't posted a video on YouTube in a long time, but even today, I'll have some people hitting me like, yo, like I still go back and watch those tutorials you did, bro. Like that shit was some sauce. And then they'll be like, I need new loops from you, or I need beats from you, bro. Like seeing how people are still, first of all, recognizing me from videos I put out years ago, and seeing how I'm still making money from it today day and I'm not even doing anything, it's so eye-opening to me how if I really put time into building my brand, you know, what could it turn into? And one of the other things you said about, you know, like hiring someone to do the bullshit that you don't want to do. Like you said, if you pay, for example, $150 for someone to make a video for you, first of all, during the time that you would be spending making that video, you can use that time put back into your brand and use that time in more beneficial ways. So, you know, there's some things that you can't hire people to do to move your own brand forward, and that's time that you should allocate towards that and not instead of editing. So I think, you know, hiring people to do like those lower tasks for you is really good for productivity, and finding someone that will take those small tasks off your hands will open up a lot more time for you to, you know, elevate what you're already working on.
Yeah, 100%. It's like the whole, I don't know if you heard the 80-20 rule, but it's like 20% of what you do is responsible for 80% of your results. So like for you and I, it would be ideal if all we had to do was just record the video and then we send it to some guy to edit it. We get the thumbnail guy to do it. And in that time we would have spent doing that, we're making loop or making beat, because no one can do that for us. And then it's like, now we're focusing on the stuff that really moves our career forward. I also wanted to touch on something that you said. You were talking about how people would message you years after a YouTube tutorial. Now, in regards to making money, if you really help someone solve a specific issue, they're not gonna forget you, right? Even if it was in 2021, if you help them with a really, really pressing issue, they're not gonna forget you. And there's gonna be a percentage of those people who feel like they need to repay you, and they're gonna end up buying your stuff. Like, that's how it works. Exactly. And it's the concept, it's like the more you give, the more you can take. So if you're giving heaps of value, then you can take more. A lot of people, what they do is they think, no, I don't want to give that source away. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to show this AI vocal thing because that's my source. But it's like, bro, what you're going to receive by giving it out is going to be tenfold. So I guess it's like anyone who's thinking about making content and you're a bit reluctant to share shit. I mean, like what we've talked about today is literally, if people really understand what we're saying, they can like make their whole career off of this shit. And there have been times when maybe I've been saying something or you've been saying something and I'm kind of thinking like, that's maybe too much gain. But I understand like it'll come back tenfold in one way, shape or form.
100%, bro. I mean, I'm just gonna end up repeating myself, bro, but this industry again I keep hammering this shit. It's so important. Relationships and networking, bro, and providing value to people is the easiest and quickest way to build stronger relationships and build those relationships with people, you know, quicker. Again, like you said, it helps towards, you know, building your brand because you make yourself more memorable to people. And one thing you don't want to happen is for people to forget about you. That's probably, you know, like one of the worst things that could happen in an industry where everybody around you is everything. If you're always giving value to people, it's gonna be hard for them to forget you, like you just said.
It's like if you're DMing someone and you're providing them value in DM, a YouTube video is the way to provide value to people en masse when you're asleep or 2 years later. What is the most annoying thing you see producers do?
I think probably the most annoying thing is producers or literally anybody me up and they're not sincere about their approach. You know, they have a very copy and paste template that they're going with, and it's so fucking obvious. And for, you know, producers that are first trying to come up, sending those copy and paste messages just, it's not gonna look too good. So I think instead of, you know, sending those messages and trying to sound all professional and everything, talk to people like people, bro. I mean, anybody you see in the industry, whether it's the biggest artist you know or just another producer you know, we're all people, we're all humans, we're all just like the person to the left of you. Especially once you start getting placements, you'll have a lot more people starting to contact you, right, and trying to work. And when I see, you know, all these DMs and it's basically all the same shit, it's just, yo, your shit's hard, I really fuck with your music, let me send some loops through, bro, what's your email? It's like so artificial, it doesn't feel real. So I think, you know, a way to fix this maybe when you're approaching people, first of all, if it's somebody that you really want to work with and it's not urgent, the best thing I would say is to try to provide them, you know, like that value first. So like before you go to contact them to work, try to help them out in other ways that's completely not related to music. Help them out and it's a problem they're having in their editing software, or if they're having trouble with, you know, like their mix or some shit. Like, I don't know, bro, it's very subjective to certain situations, but provide that value to them. So when you do go to hit them up later in the future and you do want to work with them, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, like this dude that helping me out, like cool. So like, you know, people will be more inclined to want to work with you but sending those artificial like copy and paste, I don't respond to them. They stay in my request.
Especially when they don't follow you.
Bro, that's the worst thing.
It's like, yo, bro, I really fuck with you. You don't even follow me. An underrated networking thing I was thinking of the other day is think about something that would work on you, and then chances are it would work on everyone else. So if someone messaged me and they were like, yo, bro, I really appreciate like this specific YouTube video, for example, where can I send some loops? I would be like, I appreciate that, because clearly they've gone out of their way to, in some way, shape, or form, pay attention to what I'm saying, for example. If it works on you, then it'll probably work on other people. So the last question that I've got for you is, besides the industry stuff and you also going into content soon, what else do you have going on?
I've actually been putting a lot of time recently into building my A&R program up, which is all about, you know, connecting producers with real opportunities while also trying to help them sharpen their sound and their business approach. So my whole goal with this project was really to provide people the information and the resources that I wish I had when I first started producing, or I was trying to figure out the industry and how everything works. Really quickly, I'll kind of just go over how everything's set up and how each part of it is beneficial for producers who want to start getting the ball rolling in the industry. So subscribers can exclusively send me beats for opportunities I'm working towards, the same artists I'm working with, and everything is sent directly to the same source that I'm placing my own beats. I have an Instagram group chat where every single week I will post an in-depth update breaking down the new opportunities to work towards, you know, common mistakes I see producers make and how to fix them, collab opportunities, feedback, things like that. So the whole subscription is managed through Patreon. And on my Patreon page, I drop a free kit that I've been working on every single month. So whether that's a loop kit, one-shot kit, drum kit, multi-kit, I'm always dropping a kit every single month. You know, we have a Discord community for active subscribers, and I'm in there cooking at least 3 days a week live. Y'all can kind of see my workflow in action, chop it up with you guys. I'm sending samples out free every week in the Discord. You know, there's beat battles and competitive challenges for challenge chances to win free collabs, free month in the program, free loops, things like that. Over the years of connecting with artists, I've built such a large list of artists that I'm sending to, and I don't always have the content to fill those packs up. So for the producers that have really good beats but don't have the connections, extremely beneficial, because I'm always looking for those beats to kind of fill my packs out and to be able to send packs out more consistently. All the subscribers get priority sendouts, always going to be the first people that I go to when I'm trying to fill my packs out, and I make sure I listen to every single beat that you guys send me before I send my packs out. So if you're thinking, you know, what if I'm not actually sending your shit out, you could just be throwing your money away in the blind just hoping that something sticks. Well, there have been many producers that I've helped to get their first major placements. I placed records, you know, with Rilo Rodriguez, No Cap, Big Boogie, Lil Keed, rest in peace Lil Keed, Lil Got It, and so many other artists. And there have been a lot more opportunities come up for those producers through the information that they learned through the program and through the beats that I placed for them to start getting that ball rolling in the momentum. Additionally, through the program, I'm doing things like beat collabs and one-on-one mentorships with people to give them advice on how they can make their beats, you know, more usable for artists, more placeable, and give them feedback on what else they could be doing differently to further their career in the industry. So it's more than just me sending your packs out. I'm working personally with the people in the program and giving them personal advice that is tailored to them on how they can elevate their brand and help them gain a better understanding of music. So besides just the songs that I've placed myself, and the information that I've given to people has taken them from not knowing anything about the industry, having no placements, to getting placements with me, and then taking information about networking to leverage that and get even more of their own major placements. There's so many other benefits kind of engraved into the program that I'm not going to go over everything right now, but if this is something that is of interest to you, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I would be more than happy to clarify any questions or talking about how everything works and if you're a good fit for the program.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Cam. You've dropped heaps of fucking game. If you've watched all the way through, you've definitely learned something. I've personally learned a lot, so I appreciate you coming on, bro. Any final little statements? Where can they find you on Instagram?
Hell yeah, bro. At prodbycamm, 2 M's, PRODBYCAMM. Wavy, bro, I really appreciate you having me on here, bro. We've had some good talks. We spilled a lot of sauce in this video. If people don't understand the value that we just spilled in this video, they're blind, bro. Listen, if you made it this far in the video and you didn't do this the first time, go back and get a notepad, bro. Just take notes, because I'm telling you, if you apply the information that we spilled in this video, you 100% will see progress in your career. Yeah, again, Wavy, appreciate you, man.
Of course, bro. Thank you for coming on.